Hello?
Hello, can I speak to Jodi, please?
This is Jodi.
Hey, Jodi, this is Detective Steve Flores of Mesa, Arizona Police Department.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Good. I just got a message from one of my patrol officers that you needed to talk to me about something.
Well, I just wanted to offer any assistance that I might have. I was a really good friend of Travis's, and I just, I know that I don't know a lot of anything, but
What have you heard so far?
I heard that he passed away, and that it was, I don't know. I've heard all kinds of rumors. I heard there was a lot of blood. I heard that his roommate found him, or his friend found him, or people were. I'm sorry. So I'm upset, but I've heard that nobody's been able to get a hold of him for almost a week, and that was about the last time I spoke to him too. Which is actually why I thought my friend said I should call you anyway and let you know the last time I talked to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any help we can get from anybody who had any kind of contact with him, phone contact.
I used to talk to him quite regularly. I used to live there. I live in Northern California now. But after I moved a few months ago, and after I moved, we kept in touch very regularly, and kind of fell back a little bit, and it got down to about a couple times a week, but I hadn't heard from him. I talked to him on Tuesday night. I looked at my phone records on the internet to check, and I definitely talked to him Tuesday night.
So was that your cell phone, or?
Yeah, that was my cell. It's the only phone I have. So.
Is this the number that I called?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that was Tuesday night. Do you remember about what time?
I think it was, I want to say like 9:15, but I think it was sometime between 8 and 10. So I know it wasn't as late as 10. Probably between 8:30 and 9:30 more so. Yeah, I think.
And what did you guys talk about?
It was brief. I was driving out to Utah, and he was like, "Are you gonna come out and see me?" And I'm like, "No." And he's supposed to make a trip up here at the end of the month because thing that we are doing is called. There's a book called 1,000 Places to See Before You Die, and it's been featured on the Travel Channel and all that. And we sort of got into that last year where we were starting to see all these different places on the list, and we thought, 1,000 places is a lot of places, but why not? That would be a fun goal. So we each kind of have that goal, and one of the places is the Oregon Coast Finishing Experience Festival, and so he was going to come up here for that, and we were just going to go see that in Crater Lake and just different landmarks. And
was that trip already scheduled, or just something you guys talked about?
It wasn't officially like dated, but I had been trying to reach him so that I could solidify my own schedule because I was planning on making a trip down there soon. But it was supposed to happen in May, and then it was supposed to happen last week, and that didn't work out. So he was going to leave for Cancun today, and then he said as soon as he gets back from Cancun, he was continuing the trip because he's going to drive up the coast, and when he reaches me, we'll go do some things, and then he'll continue on to Washington and see some friends up there. And then I guess that was supposed to happen before the beginning of July. He was supposed to go to Washington, D.C.
Okay. Did he have any issues with anybody here in town? Any enemies, anybody that wanted to do him harm?
Got his tires slashed. It was last year. He said he was worried about that, and I was worried about that. He never locked his doors, and I would tell him, lock your doors, and he's like, you're not my mom, And he comes from a bad city. He comes from Ruby, California, which is gangs and violence. And I come from a similar type of neighborhood in California. So my parents and I, we've always locked our doors, and that's just my habit. But he doesn't have that habit, and he lives in a great neighborhood, and it's never been an issue. Nothing has ever been stolen. Nothing has ever been. He's never been, broken into. And he had his tires slashed. I don't remember when it was. It was last year, sometime around Christmas, I think. And other than that.
Now, how would you describe your relationship with him?
We dated for like 5 months. and we broke up, and we continued actually to see each other for quite a bit, right up until I moved.
When did you guys break up?
We officially broke up June 29th of last year. But even though we broke up, we were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend. We decided to remain friends, but, I kind of feel embarrassed talking about this, but it was more than friends, but it wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend. It was more like kind of buddy, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you guys were not, romantically together at any time, or?
We were intimate, but I wouldn't say romantic as far as the relationship goes, but we were in no way headed toward marriage. Or talking anything about that. We hung probably sometime.
Now you say intimate, does that include a sexual relationship with him?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I know it's kind of embarrassing to talk about something
I know,
like that, but you don't know me, so.
Yeah, and if you could just keep it confidential for now,
Yeah.
because I know that he's Mormon, he's not seriously looked down upon in our church, and I'm telling you this to help in any way I can.
Okay, I appreciate it. So you actually moved back to California a couple of months ago?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, what date was that, do you remember?
I don't remember the exact date. I have the dates I rented the U-Haul. It was early April. Early, before April 10th. So it was after the 1st, but before the 10th. So I'm guessing 7th, 8th, 9th, maybe. I'd have to check the dates, but
Did you stop by the house when you rented the U-Haul to say goodbye to him?
Oh yeah. In fact, after I was almost moved out completely out of my house for about a week afterward, and I just stayed at his house the whole time. I practically lived there, even when I was there. I spent the night there several times a week while I lived there. I came over and I cleaned his house a lot. He paid me a little bit every month to keep his house nice and clean, sort of like a housekeeper.
Did you ever happen to meet any of his roommates at that time?
At the time, yeah, I knew his group really well at this time. Various roommates. Some have moved out. One guy moved to Utah, and one guy moved to Phoenix. Zach I don't know if Zach is still there. I think he is.
Yeah, he is.
I knew Zach because I met him, and we sort of connected because he's a photographer like I am, and he took the room that Aaron lived in previously. So yeah, Zach.
What do you think about Zach? What do you think his relationship is with your ex-boyfriend?
He seemed like a nice guy. When I first met him, he seemed just like a normal guy. He's a returned missionary and he served. Okay, good. I didn't lose you. He served his mission. I think in Arizona. He liked it so much that he moved back. He knew Travis from church, so yeah, him and his girlfriend were there. I think there was some alcohol there at one time, and Travis was suspicious about it, but he said he used it for cooking. That's fine, because Mormons don't drink alcohol, but
well, some do.
Yeah, so they're not supposed to. And Travis, that's another thing when it came to that. We call it the word of wisdom: no alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or coffee or tea. And he was just super, super, super strict on that. Yeah, he wouldn't even take Excedrin for a headache because it had caffeine. He's so strict on that. I'm a little less strict on that. I'll pop Excedrin any day, but
there's a lot of Diet Cokes in the fridge.
Yeah, they're not Travis's. I can guarantee that. He wouldn't even touch Coke. So it's one of his other roommates, I guess.
Okay, and that was around April that you last saw him, right?
Early April.
You haven't been back in town since then?
No, I haven't at all.
Okay, I thought somebody had mentioned your name, and you've been back in town for like a week or a couple of days.
Oh, I've been thinking about going there. So yeah, I've been definitely planning on heading down there.
But you haven't physically been here since you left?
Since I moved, no, I haven't. I was gonna go this week actually while he was in Cancun and stay at his house, but it's not in the budget. So.
Was that something that you guys had scheduled, that you were going to come down and stay at his house when he was gone?
Yeah, no, actually, not. That's what I emailed him about last week. It was kind of last minute, because I was going to go I'm looking at a calendar here. I was going to go not this week, but the next, and then he was going to come up here that following week, which was before July. And it all sounds kind of weird. We're all like travelers. And I figured, it would be a good idea if I would have a place to stay. His house is open all the time to friends. I mean, anybody in his business or anybody that comes to visit, he gives up his bed. He'll sleep on the couch. He lets them have the whole room. So it just didn't seem like, he said the door is always open, so I would have felt totally okay just showing up and staying at his house and eating his frozen dinners, et cetera, et cetera. And he would have been fine with that too. And I just, he said just always give me a heads up. So I asked him, let me know if that's cool. If not, I'll make other arrangements. And I never heard back.
And when was that email sent out?
Just a few days ago. I'm in front of the computer, so I can check right now for you.
Yeah, if you can do that.
Yeah, hang on a second. Let me just log into my account.
What's his email address?
Yeah, to his email.
Yeah, well, what is his email address, offhand?
His email is travis.alexander@gmail.com. Let's see. I sent one on June 7th. Haven't heard back from you. He got a little bit upset when I said I wasn't driving out to see him, but he gets upset real easily. I don't know, he likes to hang it over me a little bit, and we kind of guilt each other sometimes.
So you guys still had a fairly decent relationship as friends?
We did. We had a really
good... People that we talked to said that you guys, that your relationship was kind of rocky, and it got a little crazy at times, or...
It did. What happened was when I broke up with Travis around last year, because it was all really dumb. It was a bunch of drama. I had the suspicion that he was cheating on me, and so I looked in his phone to find out, and I found all these text messages, and it just all blew up, and it was like we realized we couldn't trust each other. So I mean, we broke up at that point, but we were still attracted to each other, and we still loved each other. So it wasn't the best thing, but we still hung out all the time together. And it didn't really help either of us to move on, because I haven't really dated anyone since. And he told me that he hadn't dated anyone since, but then he told me that he has. So it's all been kind of weird, because we kept our dating lives sort of from each other, like a don't ask, don't tell policy, sort of. And I think it worked out. It was more convenient for us. I figured, if he didn't have a girlfriend, then I'm okay coming over. And as long as he didn't think that I was with anybody, then he was fine too. So just the less we knew about each other's dating lives or romantic lives, the better off we were. So it was sent June 7th. Yeah, this is the one I sent about letting him know that I came out.
And what town are you in again?
I'm sorry?
What town are you in again?
I'm in Yreka, California. Yreka.
Yreka?
Uh-huh.
Oh, where is that at?
It is 15 minutes from Oregon, and it's on Interstate 5.
Okay. All right. So it's right. Oregon border.
Yeah. Inland.
Not close to the coast?
No, unfortunately.
I had some other questions. I'm trying to remember what they were. I mean, you kind of lived in the house for a while. You knew the surroundings and set out the kind of furniture he had, the bedding and stuff. Can you describe his bedroom bedding and stuff for me? It's kind of an unusual question, but...
No, that's fine. I spent a lot of time in there. He's got I don't know if it's Egyptian cotton or whatever, but it's a really nice brown linen, and it's soft. It's not like flannel, but it's soft. And he always brags to everyone about his IntelliGel bed. It's really comfy. So he's got a great mattress, and it's apparently it's this $5,000 mattress that he picked up for really, really cheap, because it was a showroom thing or it was a return. Or somehow he got a really sweet deal on it. So it's a king size. I don't know if it's California or what, but it's a king size bed. It's kind of like I think it's like a sleigh bed. It's dark wood.
But the bedding is mainly like a brown linen, really nice cotton linen.
Yeah, it's maybe different patterns on the sheets versus the comforter, but the sheets are brown and the comforter is brown and the pillowcases are brown.
What? So the color of the comforter is brown as well? Does it have any type of pattern or like tassels or edgy?
No, I think it has stripes. I think it has like, and they're not like colored stripes. They're just like stripes in the brown pattern itself.
Oh, like, it's dark brown, but it's got a little bit darker brown, like threading?
Yeah, you can see that there's a pattern there. And the sheets may be more of like a checkered thing, I think, if I remember correctly. And his cover too, his bedspread is like, it's a down comforter that's white, and then it's got like I don't know what he used to call it, it has a special name.
But it's like a duvet cover?
Yes, it's a duvet.
What does the duvet look like?
It comes like it's got buttons on the end and it covers the whole thing, and you slide the actual comforter inside the duvet, which is what you pull off to wash, or you can, that kind of thing. So, and we've, like many times, it's so hard to get in there with one person, so you kind of just grab the corners and we pull it in together on one side, and then you just sort of fluff it out and then button up the buttons.
Yeah, because that down kind of just shoves over in one corner and it doesn't want to spread out.
Yeah, exactly.
So it didn't have like any type of edging or tassels or anything like that you know of, like a light brown.
Not that I remember.
Is there anything in the house that resembles anything with some type of small tan, rope-ish kind of material or edging or anything like that? A blanket?
He may have pillows. Yeah, he may have had pillows. Yeah, he has pillows on his bed, not on his bed, but on the chair that's next to his bed.
Yeah.
There's those. There's also a round pillow that he uses to make his bed, and there's just one. He puts it in the center. And there may be some kind of tassel thing on that.
Do you know anybody back here still that still has contact with him?
Yeah, lots of people, tons of people.
Is that how you found out about what had happened?
A friend of mine, Dan Freeman, called me last night. I met Dan through Travis.
Dan Freeman.
Freeman. Yeah, Freeman.
Okay, yeah, we talked to him as well.
I met him last year with his sister when we all took a trip out to the Grand Canyon and to Sedona.
So he called you last night and told you what happened?
Yeah, he did. He didn't have a lot of information.
Any idea what everybody's talking about, what they're saying, what their suspicions are?
They're saying, everything that I heard was that, and I got a lot of my information from Bishop Layton, more details, and he's basically that they took everybody and separated them, and I don't know who everybody is. I'm assuming Zach, because he was there, and his girlfriend, because I called Zach's cell phone, and she couldn't tell me anything, but she answered. And she said, there are a lot of people here that I don't know, but Zach's not here, so it didn't make sense. And I was confused, but she couldn't tell me anything. So I didn't get a lot out of her, but Bishop Layton said he was there for 4 hours, and they interviewed everybody, and they all went to the police station, and they're treating it as a suspicious death. And I heard from my friend, Dave Hall, that there was a lot of blood, and I don't know if that's just a rumor that's going around or true. And I also heard that his services will be in California, but that they haven't released his body to his grandma yet. So that's all I've really heard so far.
Well, I can tell you that we're investigating it as a homicide.
Okay.
And not a suspicious death anymore. It's pretty obvious. And it's important for us to find out why somebody would want to do harm to him.
Exactly.
What kind of stuff he was possibly involved in, or maybe it just could have been as simple as a burglary or an intruder or something that had gone wrong.
I'm wondering because he's so, when they said suspicious death, I thought, well, he's trying to shed pounds for Cancun, so he looks good in boxers or a bathing suit or whatever, or swim trunks, and I know that he takes, or I thought he takes supplements, and he works out really, really hard. I've seen him work out. It's a very intense routine, and he has these heavy dumbbells that he uses, and he's so strong. I mean, there are a couple times we've tried to wrestle just for fun and show me some moves, and there's just no, I don't see how anyone, unless maybe there were two people, I don't see how anyone could overpower him unless there was...
He's a pretty good-sized guy.
Yeah, he was close to 200 pounds, I think.
Yeah. It would take, I would say, two people, if not maybe more, to kind of overpower him. I've tried with officers, working this job, to take down a woman at 135 pounds who's out of control, and it's difficult to control, somebody like that. No ideas come to mind, why somebody would want to hurt him. Did he owe somebody money? Did he have any worries or concerns about anybody?
He did owe people money, but they were all good friends. They weren't, it wasn't a bad situation. It was, in fact, there was one family that lent him money that's very, very wealthy from what I understand, and it's not like it hurt them to lend him the money. Of course, they expected him to pay it back, and he had a very reasonable timeline. And they also had a really good collateral in case he didn't pay back. They owned a piece of stock that he owned, so if they didn't pay him back, it was like $6,000 or something. I think it was $6,000. But if he didn't get them paid back on time, then they would just keep his stock, which would eventually be worth over $25,000. So I mean, I don't think they were worried about that at all. That's the Hyatt family. Frank Hyatt was there last night. But that was when he was struggling financially several months back, and I don't know. I haven't talked to him about how that's going since. But I know that's.
What's the situation with the car that was? Somebody mentioned a BMW.
Yeah, I'm buying this BMW.
Okay, because we found a check that was written by you to him. I think it was last month.
Yeah, I recently mailed him a check. I mailed him that and a few other things. I'm making payments to him.
Okay, and you still have that car right now?
No, it's actually not in my possession. I did the dumbest thing. I went and hooked it up to the U-Haul. Everything was cool and set to go. And I got the dolly where the back wheels are on the ground because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
And the U-Haul guy said, okay, drive it up here. Okay, stop, brake. And everything was cool. And I stopped the car, turned it off. Got the car, left the door open so they could look at everything, and they shut the door and said, you're good to go, and I took off, and this is going to sound really dumb, I realize now that this is not how you tow a car, but I left it in first gear, and I started headed down the highway, and I blew the engine to smithereens. It looked like it gave birth all over the highway. There's just black oil everywhere, and so it's sitting at Wes's Auto something, last time I checked. It's sitting there in Mesa, and the guy's been really nice about just keeping it until Travis figures out what he can do. We've called lawyers about it, and my lawyer said, have your insurance fix it, and his lawyer said your insurance might not fix it because it might be considered mechanical. So that's the last we talked about it. We've been, he's been real busy and hasn't had a lot of time to attend to it. And I have a vehicle right now, but not for much longer because I have to give it back to the bank. So, either way.
When did you mail that payment? End of May?
It was a few weeks ago, yeah, it must have been.
So you're still making payments to that?
Oh yeah, in fact that's my first payment because we just did this car deal right before I moved, and he said we have a buyer's agreement too, I think, that I typed out and emailed to him. But we have, he said just get on your feet, and then start sending payments. And the agreement was X amount per month, whatever I could pay. So finally got a job and gave him that payment for $200.
What was $200 a month?
Yeah. It was $100 a month minimum. If you could,
Okay.
minimum, and if I could pay more, please. You know.
Okay. We did talk to certain people, and I mean, I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to make you feel bad, but they didn't have the best of things to say about you. They felt that you were either taking advantage of him or just, hanging around when you weren't wanted. They mentioned that you would sometimes, end up going into his house. You were in his house when he didn't want you there. And he would ask you to leave, but you would continue to return. There was also some talk about you, spying on his email and Facebook accounts, those kinds of things.
He gave me his Facebook password and his MySpace password, and I gave him my Facebook password and my Gmail account password. And the reason we did that is because it was kind of dumb. We did that months and months ago, and we thought, what can we do to try to reestablish trust between us? And why don't we start with that? And so that's what we did, and then, it just didn't work. He got really upset finally, and he's like, this isn't working. And I said, all right, this is too much of a headache. Let's just change our passwords. So we did. We changed our passwords after that.
How long ago did you guys change them?
I changed mine, not long ago, probably 3 weeks ago, maybe. And I don't know about his because once he made it clear that he wasn't comfortable with that anymore, I didn't even try to get back into his account anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've been married almost 20 years, and I don't have my wife's email.
Really? I know it's.
You just have to trust sometimes.
It's true. It's true. And I told him, we've had hours upon hours of conversation, and I said, I just don't know if I could ever trust you again, and he doesn't know if he could ever trust me again because I might always want to get back into his phone and find out, does he really have something going on or what? Because, he did at one point, and so he said, yeah, I understand that, and he said, but if we were married, you would have all my passwords to everything because there wouldn't be anything to worry about.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's nice,
yeah.
But we're not married. So, and as far as getting into his emails, that never happened. What he has on his computer is he would oftentimes just leave his computer on, and he'll leave his Gmail window up. And there were times when I got on his computer to look up other things, and if his Gmail window was open, then I would just close it. That was constantly getting into his email.
I had to mention that to you because we are getting a search warrant for his email, Gmail and Facebook. Accounts, and we can tell where those things were accessed from by IP addresses. And I just want to make it clear that that if you did access it from somewhere else at a certain time, if you access it from California, we're going to know.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now that I did.
Okay.
He gave me his passwords. Not the only accounts that I've accessed though were MySpace and Gmail because those were the only passwords.
And how long ago? When was the last time you actually accessed those?
Weeks ago. We had a conversation where it's like he made it clear that he wasn't comfortable with that anymore, and I said that's okay. And I changed my Gmail account password because he got into that too, and then he saw another guy's email there, and gave me a hard time about it, and so it just was dumb. We're both trying to move on, and we're both, I don't know, it was weird.
Seems like there was a lot of jealousy issues.
I think there might have been on both parts. For me, it wasn't so much jealousy as it was like, I just wanted to know, I just wanted him to be honest. And for him, I think one of the reasons I moved was because we were spending too much time together and we weren't moving on. And it wasn't able to. I mean, I guess I could have dated other people, but our social circles were so small that anytime you heard about something, it just wasn't good.
Did you move down here the first time because of him?
Yeah, I moved there because of him, and I moved away because of him. Primarily. I also moved away for financial reasons. I'm with my grandparents now, but there were three main reasons I moved here. One, I missed my family, and two, financially, and three was because of travel. And the main reason that I moved there was because of travel.
Okay. Yeah, because when we first arrived on scene and started talking to people, some of his closest friends, um, began mentioning your name as, hey, you need to call her because she probably knows what happened to him, or she possibly had something to do with it.
Oh gosh, no, I've had
that's how bad it was getting at the scene. And I needed to talk to you to find out why they would say something like that. Why they would start pointing fingers in your direction right away.
I don't know. Maybe because I'm an ex-girlfriend, we've had lots of fights.
Was there a lot of issues? I mean, obviously it wasn't a great relationship.
It was great for a while until we started fighting because I did know one thing and I got into his phone because I had a suspicion that he wasn't being faithful, and I found a bunch of text messages that were no good, and rather than being an adult about it and confronting him, I kept it in and I kind of let it fester, and I was miserable and I didn't know why, and I wanted to tell him, but I was worried that it would just lead to an unnecessary fight, and then I realized this was no kind of relationship, so it finally all came out, and he was really apologetic, but we just both realized that neither of us could be in an adult relationship, and that was June of last year. So at that point, we continued to see each other, a long time after that.
Well, I'm glad I did get a hold of you again. You did call me because it kind of clears up a lot of the questions I had, a lot of the concerns. It's not what I don't think it's what these people thought was going on. So.
I should probably tell you that Travis, when he got upset, he would send me really mean emails. He would send me text messages and things. You'll find probably some stuff on his Facebook. I know for sure you'll find one on his Facebook, and definitely in his Gmail, and you're welcome to access all of my accounts too if you want. With Travis,
we're probably gonna subpoena all his Facebook and Gmail and everything to see who he was communicating with, what he was saying, to him.
Okay.
I'm not sure how far back. We usually go 6 months to a year.
Okay.
But in a case like this, we need to know, who had some type of beef with him, why they would do something like this to him.
Yeah.
I hate telling people over the phone, but it's like I said, it is a homicide investigation, and it was an angry situation. And when we see scenes like this, the first thing we think is these people hated each other. Somebody went in there to hurt him, and they did. And they hurt him really bad. And he's a big guy, and it would take, like I mentioned to you before, it would take more than one person to do this to him.
Can you?
And I was just hoping maybe you could kind of point me in the right direction. I'm talking to everybody that he knows that knows.
I went to a guy named Thomas Brown, and I don't think that, honestly, I haven't seen or heard from him since he was kicked out. I think his last name was Brown. I could try to find him on ldslinkup.com, but that was so long ago, though. That was last spring of 2007, March even. And what happened was he got kicked out because he was considered like borderline sexual predator, not like a rapist, but coming on to girls and that kind of thing. And it just really was down upon in the church. And so he was disfellowshipped, and Travis said, "You need to get out, get your stuff out of my house." And it wasn't a friendly situation. It was said over the phone because he and I were in Missouri and somewhere back east, just touring, and Thomas was.
So he ended up kicking him out at that time.
Yeah, he kicked him out at the time, but Thomas, he's a really big guy, but he doesn't seem like he didn't seem violent. He seemed pretty gentle. He just seemed like a little bit thuggish, but like he was trying to act the part, not because he was that. Because he thought it would like attract chicks or something. I don't know. So he seemed honestly like I didn't know him that well, but he seemed like a big dumb